To our viewers in Europe, the Americas, Africa, Asia, the Middle East and Australasia, welcome to Through the Gears. The City Power SunRace in '99 is our feature story this week, as the state-of-the-art solar and electric cars, the races of the future, make an 1,800-kilometre journey. With Formula One news from Ferrari and speak to the latest two-wheel ace trying out on four wheels. And finally, a preview from the front-runners in the British Touring Car Championship, this week on Through the Gears. Ferrari always make news, and before the launch of their 1999 car, drivers Michael Schumacher and Eddie Irvine enjoyed some time on the snowfields. Irvine was aware that he had to show care on the slopes and perhaps confine his fitness program to the treadmill instead.
The only way you get good is by pushing yourself and trying new things, and I'm scared to do that in case I break something, and obviously it's Ferrari wouldn't be too impressed if I broke something, so I just got to sort of stay at a certain level, and then whenever I retire I can start pushing and trying to improve.
Irvine is looking forward to his first Grand Prix win, behind the wheel of the Rory Byrne-designed F399.
Personally, I want to win races, but also I want to be competitive at every race. I don't want to just win a race and be nowhere the rest of the season, so I want to be personally competitive all the time, and if I am competitive all the time, then I've got a chance of winning races, which I did this year, but you know, I finished second 3 times. Hopefully I can just take that next step up the podium.
Irvine's first podium finish for Ferrari was at Albert Park, when he took 3rd place. Preparations are nearing completion for the temporary road course around the lake for the first Grand Prix of the year in Melbourne on March the 7th. The pit building is permanent, but all the other infrastructure, such as seating, barriers and spectator amenities, are assembled at the site. John Surtees, wearing the cap, is the only person to have won World Motorcycle Championships and a World Drivers' Championship. Fazio Nuvolari made his name on bikes before switching to cars. Michael Doohan has said he doesn't have any plans to go car racing, but did enjoy the chance to drive a Williams last year in Spain.
No, it's a lot of fun. It's hard to convince myself to go faster through a turn than what I'm used to, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
you know?
definitely.
And the same go down here, because when you brake at the 200, I was getting to about the 150 and going, no, I've got to brake.
I can't take it anymore. I won't get around it, yeah.
The most recent to try was Max Biaggi, and he was pensive before taking up an offer from Ferrari that if he won a 500 race, he'd get a drive in one of the Scarlet cars at Fiorano. Former 500 world champions Wayne Gardner, Eddie Lawson and Kevin Schwantz have turned to 4 wheels when their 2-wheel careers were over. Johnny Cecotto, a World 350 champion, later found success in German touring cars, while Mike the Bike Halewood raced in F1 and F5000 before returning to bikes. Biaggi was offered more than just a few courtesy laps, having a 4-hour, 40-lap session.
Today, I have the biggest dream of my life, because the dream come true, and I have to say that this is the big opportunity for me, because for a sportman like me, to test a Formula One car is like a dream, because the car is so expensive and all the technology that is inside is very secret.
He got the F300 up to speed, although Schumacher and Irvine can feel safe. The Italian experienced similar difficulties to fellow rider Michael Doohan.
With a F1 car, you can brake so late and very deep in the corner. And with a motorcycle, it's impossible, because you must brake very early to stop the machine and go into the corner. Well, I have to say that also one other difference is the acceleration out of the corner. With a bike, with a 500, you have about 200 horsepower, and with F1 car, you have about 800 horsepower.
Now it's back to serious pre-season testing for Yamaha in preparation for the first 500 Grand Prix of the year in Malaysia. British touring car champion and Bathurst 1000 winner, Volvo's Ricard Rydell, was the top touring car driver last year. What are his expectations for 1999?
Everyone's out there to try and beat you, so of course it's going to be hard work for us. But I think we're well aware of it's going to be hard work, and we know that we need to fight hard and improve the car a lot to win again. So the motivation this year is to try and win it the second time.
Jason Plato starts his third year with Renault Williams.
You know, year one was a good experience. We had a very competitive car. We had a great time, and you know, everything went fantastically well for us. And last year was a little bit the reverse, really, where the car was still very good, but it was a difficult year, and it was fraught with, you know, ups and downs and some disappointment. So, you know, I've seen both sides of the fence now. So it's going to be good to go into a new year with a brand new car, and the guys have made fantastic advances, and you know, it's going to be 100% new. And going with a chance to win the series. I mean, I'm up for it, as you know, as me, and I'm sure the car will be great.
The story of City Power SunRace '99 after the break on Through the Years. The City Power SunRace is an 1,800-kilometre, 7-day adventure for solar cars, electric vehicles and hybrids. Schools, universities, associations and individuals can all compete in an event that's promoted as a brain sport, vital in refining the technology that'll become more important as fossil fuels run out. There were 13 entries, delighting City Power SunRace director John Herner.
I think what we're seeing this year is a full range of superbly aerodynamic vehicles, efficiencies that are quite mind-boggling, vehicles that in energy efficiencies are returning what in fossil fuel terms would be 3,000 kilometres to the gallon. The simple example we give on this one is that these top teams use the amount of energy that you use to do a slice of toast. They'll run 100 kilometres an hour for 5 kilometres. And this sort of technology is the sort of technology we'll see flow across into electric vehicles that you and I will be driving.
We follow the progress of 5 solar car teams through the race. Vicky Oates is from Lake Tuggeranong College in Canberra, who built Spirit of Canberra as part of a school project under the leadership of Stuart Clode.
It's run through our school program, year 11s and 12s, and we just sort of signed up to join, and we built the car ourselves last year, and we raced it in Japan earlier last year as well. Our car was built by us in our workshop, which is just down in our school. We put in like about 7,000 hours all up. That's just the students, not out of school hours. Yeah, building it all and putting it together. It's a big team effort.
Sunshark was built by the University of Queensland and is a similar design to Spirit of Canberra, with the driver sitting at the front of the car. Glenn Rawlinson is one of the team's 3 drivers.
I joined when I was in engineering at the University of Queensland. I was just second year. Some of the guys had just started the project and came along to one of our lectures, and I thought it sounded pretty interesting.
The Aurora Vehicle Association has been established for over 20 years. Aurora 101 is considered the benchmark in solar cars, setting a record last year of 101 kilometres over 1 hour using standard cells. Carolyn Bomber is a patent attorney who's driven Aurora before.
It's about the 3rd time I've actually driven it. I had a couple of test runs before the race event. I've driven the predecessor from Perth to Sydney in that race then, the Dick Smith Challenge.
Isis from Mitcham Girls High is a veteran of all the City Power Sun races. This car has a driver and an observer who monitors the battery usage, allowing students who aren't old enough to drive to be in the car and on the road.
The car was built in 1993, so since then we went in a World Solar Car Challenge race, and we've done the last 3 City Power Sun races.
This is both our first year as coming on the trip, but we've been involved for a couple of years now.
School, so that would be 5 years.
It's like an application thing every year. There's a group of about 20 or 30 students actually in the solar car technology group, but we have to write an application letter every year, and we get accepted from there.
SunSwift 2 from the University of New South Wales had just made a 4,000 kilometre attempt on the Perth to Sydney record, which was thwarted by overcast weather, before turning around for the 1,800 kilometres from Sydney to Melbourne.
It was designed by a group of students at the University of New South Wales, mostly Robert Simpson, Lars Forsman and Mark Hewitt put together the design.
City Power SunRace caters for solar cars, electric vehicles and hybrids, and the entry was almost double that of the previous year. The race travels in approximately 300-kilometre sprints between major cities and towns who host the teams for their overnight stops and are a major part of the race's appeal and success. Within the sprints, there are breaks for recharging, regrouping and driver changes. Cars can be trailered if they run out of power, but at a penalty to the total distance travelled. Viper and True Blue were fighting in the EV Ultra class. Despite the $1 million appearance of the solar cars, there is a limit on the cost of the solar cells, allowing schools and university teams to compete with the off-the-shelf production units. These are only a few % less efficient than the best handmade photovoltaic cells. Typically, 4,000 silicon cells are glued onto or embedded in the top shell. These cells convert the sun into electricity, feeding both the motor and the battery packs. Battery power is needed when the clouds appear or hills have to be tackled. The output of the array is 1800 watts. The brushless DC motor, developed by the CSIRO, is 98% efficient.
This is the final leg in a 7-day event.
First away at 10 a.m. on the final leg from Bendigo to Melbourne was the hybrid EV Synergy, combining pedal and battery power. The electric 911 is normally driven to work. It's quick in short bursts, and in economy mode travelled 240 kilometres on one of the days. The most practical entry, the battery laser propulse. It has a usable range up to 100 kilometres. Battle of the race was between Spirit of Canberra with Vicky Oates at the controls and Sunshark with Glenn Rowlandson. The convoy was on the move, including a leader, a solar car, a trailing car and assorted support vehicles for the crews, which numbered about 20 for each of the solar car teams. Both Spirit and Sunshark had been able to average over 70 kilometres per hour for the whole race, and the final day would determine the winner, decided on road time, distance travelled and overall average speed. Capricorn Solar Flare is a World Solar Car Challenge veteran, the University of Central Queensland team learning the ropes of solar car racing. On the design of solar cars, John Ransom from SunSwift says there's still room for creativity despite the sport's maturity.
Now, you notice Formula One cars sort of converge on the one design. There's still a few branches in solar cars. We've chosen the short car, similar to Aurora, and after the testing that we've been able to do with SunSwift 2, we'll be able to improve that a lot for the World Solar Challenge. Oh, our chassis is as solid as a rock. It's all 4130 chrome moly tubing and aluminium, built at Sydney Institute of Technology, so that performed absolutely flawlessly throughout the whole 6,000 kilometres of testing, not a single problem with it. Yeah, our shell's been made using high temperature pre-pregs from Hawker de Havilland. It's the same quality as what you'd find in your average aerospace components, so we've had no problems at all with that either.
While SunSwift had no problems with the chassis or the body, there were unexpected difficulties.
Oh, you have all sorts of things happen, like the actual sun degrades the resin that we use to encapsulate the cells with, and we have things like dogs jumping up on it, all sorts of people coming up and pressing it. It seems very fragile, and I don't know, it attracts people to try and see if they can break it, actually. It's funny.
The design of solar cars is critical, with battery and solar array performance and aerodynamics the most important.
I mean, obviously you've got several factors. You've got rolling resistance and you've got drag, and your drag is the major factor in drag, apart from your frontal area, is looking at your total wetted surface area. A car like that, where the panel, their wetted surface area is much bigger because of that additional front area. Yeah. To minimise it, we've just made, the rules for the World Solar Challenge is you have a panel of 4 metres by 2 metres maximum. We've just made the entire car that size because we have the lowest coefficient of drag by a long shot.
Aurora decided on the 3-wheel layout. Lower rolling resistance considered more important than stability.
3 wheels are fine. It's probably easy to drive with 4 wheels, but the 3 wheels from a drag point of view is also an issue. So we have a front-driven wheel, and we steer with that wheel and predominantly braking on that wheel as well.
The cars weigh about 300 kilograms, use low rolling resistance Michelin tyres, and can exceed 100 kph. What do they like to drive?
We've got handlebars, so it's a bit of push and pull. You can really feel which way the car wants to go. So occasionally crosswinds will blow you around a bit, and you've got to fight it. But it's quite controllable, and it's quite get a good feel for it. Yeah, the vehicle sort of floats around a bit with the soft suspension, but It's not too bad. We've had it up to 120, which just down the hill. Maybe we broke the speed limit there, but it was good. It was fun.
Drivers lie in a prone position, racing car style.
You feel all the bumps. There's no problems feeling the bumps. You're very low to the ground. It feels a lot faster than you're actually going.
The solar car is shaped so that it produces no lift and minimum drag.
It handles surprisingly well. You find that once it gets up about 90 kilometres an hour, it really sets up brilliantly. It holds the road. It's an excellent handling vehicle. It's actually designed to go at high speed. In fact, it's easier to drive at high speed than at low speed.
City Power SunRace 99 reaches its final stage of the Albert Park Grand Prix circuit when we return. Welcome back to City Power SunRace 99. Vicky Oates explained the race format.
With this race, it's a maximum of 2 hours straight. You usually go in one leg at a time, which can be up to an hour and a half usually. We don't go in much more than that because you get very dehydrated and things like that. We always have water in the car with us though.
Sarah Harris prepared for the final drive, refilling the cool suit.
And with ice, with water, freeze them, put them in there, and it's a thin layer underneath. And you can feel it really well when you're driving along. And it just comes through there and cools you down heaps.
And you really need it.
Oh, we don't really need it, but it is nice, yeah. And it just keeps our overall body temperature down and keeps us more relaxed, and, which is good, so we can concentrate more.
Others were less sympathetic towards their drivers.
I don't know, it's a racing game, and I think driver comfort should come second to performance, really. We can't find radio batteries that last as long as drivers. They can grit their teeth and bear it.
Despite appearances, the drivers don't get fried.
Not very hot at all, maybe 25 degrees. It's quite comfortable. We've got an air vent in the front of the canopy which allows plenty of airflow. Air comes through right up over your body and it keeps you nice and comfortable, yeah.
City Power SunRace is run as a series of sprints between major towns.
It's very different to previous races that we've been on. I went in the World Solar Challenge in '96 and that was a continuous go all-day race, whereas this race is short stages of 250 kilometres, so it's different, faster, a lot faster, and it's more of a battery strategy race. Keep out of the shadows, the clouds come over, then you run into a few problems.
We actually had clouds along the Hay Plain, so we didn't go against any records or anything, but we got up to the speed limit most of the time and did really well.
Around Hay, on the very flat stuff, it was quite cloudy, and we showed our strength there, finishing third. There are a few other front-running teams burnt their batteries and ended up having to stop, but we just plodded along with our telemetry. We knew exactly what was going on inside the car, so we put in a solid performance.
On to the closing stages of the SunRace, and pit stop time for Capricorn Solar Flare as the batteries are topped up. The climb over the Great Divide has used up too much of the battery power, and it's a skilled job to balance speed against battery usage. Aurora had to change their array, and the resulting penalty dropped them down the order. Information on speed, temperature, battery consumption and solar cell output is monitored in the lead car via telemetry. On a sunny day with a full charge, these cars can run for 4 to 5 hours, covering nearly 400 kilometres. Drivers use a combination of direct solar power and what's been stored up in the batteries from the previous evening and in the morning. Along the Westgate Freeway in the final few kilometres, and Spirit of Canberra leads Sunshark. The Green Grand Prix, a much quieter race than that usually seen at Albert Park, comes to an end with Spirit of Canberra from the Lake Tuggeranong Secondary College beating the university teams.
City Power SunRace 99.
That averaged 74.5 kilometres an hour for the race.
This team is a team of...
Cameras and reporters crowded Sarah Harris.
Yeah, it was a good run today. It's really fun to drive.
In second place, Sunshark, running with less battery capacity, was just behind. A total of 1,761 kilometres at an average of 71.1 kph. Sunswift travelled the full 1,790 kilometres at an average of 57.7. Aurora were declared fourth, 1767 kilometres at 52.8 kph. The team from University of Central Queensland were delighted with Capricorn Solar Flare's performance, given that it's a pre-loved model and the team was developing their strategy before taking on the World Solar Challenge. 1658 kilometres at 50.2. ISIS managed 863 kilometres, but had to make a motor change. If the cars were tired, how about the organisers?
Absolute exhaustion and elation. We couldn't be happier. We're home safe. We're home after fantastic competition. So much competition merit that we had to upgrade our timekeeping apparatus during the event. The teams were so close. The standard that came out of Tuggeranong, the winner of this event, is just extraordinary. It demonstrates exactly what superb leadership can do with young people. Here's a team of year 11 and 12 students, albeit focused in this area, but nevertheless taking the game right up to our top university teams, I think somewhat to the amazement of those teams, and I'm sure the teams will be scratching themselves and dying to get that back next year and perhaps put paid to that.
Viper got the best of True Blue in the electric vehicle Ultra Class, 1,061 to 964 kilometres. The do-it-yourself Bush Ranger was the most popular car in the race and travelled 981 kilometres. The electric Laser totaled 447 and the Porsche 934. Practical cars for short daily use and a sign of things to come. A final word from the solar car teams.
We were hoping for this. We weren't expecting anything too much, but this is a great way to end it.
We've been really fighting against the lead team, and unfortunately they've pulled it off and beaten us, but we put in a good effort, so we're quite happy.
Oh, we had a pretty solid performance. We're the only team to actually finish all of the stages without putting the car in the trailer, which is a credit to the reliability of our car.
How the others have got their act together, they've had to come up with some excellent cars. They weren't around last year, and that explains our position. We're also only running half a vehicle. We haven't got our race panel or our race battery set. So we're running about a third of the array power and half the battery power. So to even keep up with them, we're doing remarkably well.
Basically, the other day it was so overcast that we were just running on solar amps, and basically batteries just were using up. Oh, it's been absolutely great fun. We've had a ball the last week. Absolutely.
I think you learn a lot about teamwork and sort of working as a team to succeed in something which you all want.
It's great to join up with all the other teams and have a good chat about what's going on and have a few beers and have some fun.
To the winning team, and anyone over 18 can
The SunRace is established as a major event on the solar car calendar, along with the World Solar Rally in Akita in Japan and the World Solar Challenge, held from Darwin to Adelaide in October. Details on solar car racing can be found at www.netlink.com.au. What are John Herner's plans for City Power SunRace 2000?
We might field twice the number of cars yet again. We're hoping for 25, 30 cars. That'll put 500 odd people on the road each night, coming together as a wonderful, wonderful solar community, sharing the experiences, sharing the technology, and hopefully not only having great motorsport, but bringing real benefits to the world around us.
Next week, Formula One News, a sponsorship special on how one sponsor tied in their products to a racing series, and famous cars from the York Museum. So join me then on Through the Years.